I'm Gerry Benson. Good evening. I'm just a concerned citizen of Cornwall for many years, and I know that our guests that facing us have done good work. Chuck, it's amazing what you've done for us, and I know how you feel, and I think that the waterfront, we all know, is our biggest asset, and it's our future, really. And I'm just wondering, my question is to the acting mayor, Mr. Murphy. Has there been enough discussions with the leaseholder, Trillium? I think they'd be the first one to put pressure on and make them understand all the repercussions. They're business people just like some of us are, and they may understand and treat the subject in a human manner, and maybe they may be the first one to come up with some solution and maybe put this project on hold.
Thank you very much for the question, Gerry and Mr. Benson. And I just, if they're not aware of how we feel by now, then we need to yell a little bit louder. But I'm pretty sure they are aware, and I do know that they have been in constant communication since last week. Unfortunately, it wasn't sooner, with our economic development. Our economic development has been talking to them, as well as our CAO and our top administrative staff. And those discussions will continue, I have no doubt. And you're right, sometimes business sense sometimes makes the better judgment, and we'll see if that prevails. We'll see. It's going to take all parties to put the brakes onto this, and we're just going to be hoping the ones pushing those brakes.
I'm sorry, I have to ask directly to that question. Mike Goulet, concerned citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to live down in that neck of the woods, and it seems to me that since this entire debate has come to the surface, it seems to me that Trillium is working overtime to get those tanks built as soon as possible. Before any of this comes to fruition. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, I know there are administration members in the audience that have taken those notes, and so are the councillors, but they will be. But these talks don't end just tonight. I mean, first thing tomorrow morning, they're going to continue.
Why is there no representation from Trillium here this evening?
I'm not so sure. Are there any representatives of Trillium?
If there are, I would love to hear from somebody from Trillium as to what their directive is here.
I don't think there are any. I know it was an open invitation, and they were aware of the meeting.
That's very disappointing. Seeing as I'm already up here, I do have a question as well. To Mr. Smith, your opening statement earlier this evening suggested that you only found out on Friday, as a representative of Transport Canada, that this was happening. Yet, there's an acting director of communications out of North York, representing Transport Canada, that brought this all to fruition. How is it an acting director of communications from North York, representing Transport Canada, putting this directive out to the public without seemingly headquarters in Ottawa not having any knowledge of this? That's very curious to me.
I'll answer that. That's a fair question. The structure in Ottawa, I'm a representative of Transport Canada. I'm actually a representative of the minister. So I'm not a Transport Canada official. I'm a representative of the minister in the minister's political office. I found out about this from two sources on Friday. Mr. Lozone brought to my attention, I'm going to say at 10 a.m.-ish in the morning. We have a weekly meeting in my office with officials, whereby we log on remotely by way of broadband to all our regions across the country. It was raised by officials to me at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, at which point I said, I am aware of this because Mr. Lozone brought it to my attention and we need to look at it. That was the first time the minister's office, Friday was the first day the minister's office was aware that this was happening and that it may have been an issue. So officials within Transport Canada were certainly aware because they entered into a lease. So there were clearly discussions at the bureaucratic level. At the ministerial level, it was brought to our attention on Friday.
Fair enough. So further to that response, when any lease of any Transport Canada or any other federal government land is entered upon with external individuals, does that not come across the federal government headquarter department before the memo goes out to the public?
The operation, the port operation, this was within the operations of the port, and it was in the normal course of activity, and it has been working its way through the system for a number of months. I can't tell you other than the fact that we became aware of it Friday. I was here with Mr. Lowe's on Monday. I'm here again tonight. I have had literally 5 days involvement on this matter, and I think, quite frankly, everyone here has done a tremendous job in marshaling a lot of activity and a lot of interest in a very short period of time.
Thank you very much. There are other questions. Thank you.
My name is David Enns. I'm a resident of the city. I'm not from Trillium. I agree with an earlier comment that was made by Mr. McDonald. I don't think we should get sidetracked here. I think the solution is for the ministry to break the contract. It doesn't represent the highest and best use of the land down there. In light of all the work that's been done by committees and individuals, Chuck, and many others in the community, the highest and best use of that land is not with grain tanks, oil tanks, chloride tanks, or any other tanks. It should be, as we have discussed. And I think that's the message, Doug, that you should take back to the ministry. And I like to see in that sense a show of hands to indicate to him if you're in agreement with that. And there you are, and that's your answer.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Enns. Elaine?
Last time up, I'm in complete agreement with this, what Mr. Enns just said. What I want to do is I want to give our people ammunition to be able to go after closing down this process. Elaine Kennedy. In 1987, the International Joint Commission designated the St. Lawrence River at Cornwall and Messina as a binational area of concern. In other words, one of the 43 contaminated hotspots around the Great Lakes. In 1988, local citizens, representatives of government, industries, and agencies formed the Public Advisory Committee to figure out what were the environmental problems, and a Stage 1 report was issued in 1992, listing many of the problems. The Public Advisory Committee continued to meet, and its aim was to recommend how to remediate these problems. In 1988, the Stage 2 report, Great Lakes, Great River, brought 64 recommendations to be implemented by citizens, governments, industries, and agencies to remediate our river. Recommendation 18 said in 1998 that Transport Canada, Environment Canada, and the Ministry of Environment had to participate in additional studies at Cornwall Harbour to determine if the land-based contamination is affecting the river. If there is an impact, ensure that appropriate corrective actions are implemented to protect the river. My questions: was this remedial action plan ever prepared by Transport Canada and its partners? And were the results of this remedial action plan the reason for the removal of the petroleum tanks from the property? If so, does the remedial action plan indicate what should take their place? Because we've got to have some background to this too. And I'd like to just finish off with the last part of what my speech was, because I didn't know I couldn't talk for. We here in Cornwall are at the end of the pipe for the pollution that comes down from the Great Lakes. We have worked to clean up our river here, not waiting for the other areas in the Great Lakes to clean up their pollution, because we had a conscience about cleaning up our river and making it the best. We cannot allow something else to come along and contaminate our river. That is a slap in the face to the people who have been involved for 25 years, the energy and time they put in it, and the taxpayers' money to clean up our river. Thank you.
for your very helpful comments.
Actually, if I could respond to that, Elaine, I don't know the answer to the question you asked, but I would like, if you could provide me with what those questions are in writing, then I will actually undertake to provide those answers to you.
I guess once a teacher, always a teacher.
My name is Lily Worrell, and I live here in Cornwall. I think I'm going to show my age when I bring up a little phrase which is NIBY, NIMBY, not in my backyard. And I don't think that that's what Cornwall is saying tonight, although it really doesn't belong there. There are other places for it. I don't even know what it's called, but there's a tank farm up Highway 2 between maybe Iroquois and Prescott. There's tanks up there along the side of the road. They must have ships coming in. Why aren't they looking into this sort of thing and using what's already there? Why are they coming to Cornwall and trying to muck out our beautiful front yard? We put up with the traffic circle for a number of years now, and I'd like the government to know that we've been very patient and that we can't be walked all over and used again with something as ugly as those tanks are, and they need to go.
Thank you very much. Fern?
Yes, one more comment, and I know Chuck talked about it early on. I think it's important for Mr. Lauzon and the ministry official to know about it, is that the issue of leasing the land back to the city is something that can be done fairly quickly by the minister compared to, I'm not saying stop or don't start the discussion on divesting, but I know divesting, I may not see it in my lifetime, just because it's going to take a long time. But if the people in Cornwall will know that, the Legion Ballpark, the curling center, is sitting on leased land, 99-year leased land, managed by the city. It works out very well, and I think that if the minister wants to do something quickly, they could enter into a lease with the city, break the lease that exists right now with that company, then turn over to the city and lease back that land, and then go into the negotiation for divesting, which you want later on. But the important thing is the leased land would be managed by the city, would be probably divesting in the immediate.
Merci, Fern.